me clear my throat. My girls are texting me. All right, we're going over to YouTube. I see that we're live. Hello, everybody. Let me get everything set up and we'll be ready to go. Give you my profile picture, me and Esmeralda. Waiting on it to show me that I can do chat. Bluetooth. Boy, that's a title. What are we doing? Rope and scraps. Well, let's see. What are we going to do with rope and scraps tonight? All right. Get the picture up here. Going to move my phone over here where I can see chat somewhat in front of me. Hello, Janet. How are you this morning? Oh. I'm going to sit back and relax for a minute. Take a deep breath. Get a drink. Do all that fun stuff. So how is everybody? Oh, it is thundering and raining outside here, so I'm going to apologize if the connection is shaky from the start. It's cold and wet. Yes, here too. Not as cold as it is in some places. I was talking to Sherlock and she said they were getting snow flurries today. And since she just spent a week in Florida with her daughter and got cold temperatures down here too, I really feel sorry for her. Ah, yes. Deep breath, Colleen. It's that day, right? So I have been piddling in my sewing room for days, pulling scraps out, trying to figure out what goes to what. I did finish the embroidery on the partial quilt. It looks terrible. It's awful. I'm not going to show it to you. I'm still learning. And I did see a tip that I haven't put into action yet to use binder. I needed medium binder clips or great big binder clips to help keep things straight. You guys see that, what that is? So I got 2 sizes, and that's where I was trying to get to today, but obviously I didn't. Oh, well, it happens, right? And then right before I came on, I was debating whether I wanted to just do some scrappy sewing tonight or whether I wanted to do some rope bowl sewing. So I think what we're going to do is combine the two. I have got some rope out here and I've got some clips on it. I don't have pins in it, but I've got clips on it. And I'm going to show you guys how to make an oval rope bowl. I hope that sounds like something fun to most of you. And then we will go from there and turn it into a bowl. I reworked my kitchen counter, moved all of my bread and stuff around. Well, actually, Wayne reworked my kitchen counter, moved all the bread and stuff around. And there's like one section that doesn't have anything in it. And I would kind of like to put a rope bowl under there or some kind of bowl to hold onions, maybe potatoes, depending on what we've got in the kitchen for produce. So I thought that I'd make a long, maybe 2 or 3 inch tall rope bowl, and we will try to do that on the live tonight. And I have 2 cameras set up, and I'm live through Zoom, and it's thunder booming. So if I freeze, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cancel 2 Monday nights in a row, even though the weather is horrid here tonight. So I'm going to bring you guys over to my sewing machine and let you see what I'm doing there. And I'm going to put the other camera up there. If you want a closer view, let me know. I do have my phone set up where I can see it while I'm sewing. So hopefully that will be. Oh, Colleen says cool. So that must mean she likes the idea of a rope bowl. Well, of course you missed all the chat in your live this morning. It's what happens when you're live. Okay, so what I've got over here is I know this came from Walmart. I couldn't tell you how many years ago. It looks like it's been hanging around for a while because it's a little bit dusty. But I'm not going to worry about the dusty. I'm just going to use it. And it's on this spool thing. Unwind a bunch of it so you don't have to fight with it. And then I have a bunch of scraps laying here. I've got my rotary cutter. I've got my scissors handy. I've got my ruler handy. I'm just going to play with the scraps and sew them onto the bowl. This one's not going to get a color theme so much. I did on the one that I made for the video that I put out the other day, my podcast. My podcast, I think, is hilarious. You guys need to go over there and check it out. I think you'll love it. And so what I'm doing is I have got, let's make sure you guys can see. I have doubled over my rope. I can take these off long enough to show you this. Here's the end of my rope. I kind of want my bowl to be maybe a couple of inches longer than that. So I have wrapped my rope, and this is going to be an oval shaped bowl. If you wanted a round one, you would start wrapping way smaller like this. And you could do a couple of things with this really small one. You could put some pins through that so you can sew, or you can put some clips on here to hold things where you want them to so you can sew. And you could even, if you had a little tiny scrap that you liked, put it over that and then zigzag across there. I'm going to do a longer one. Sorry. I showed the rounder version in the video in the podcast, so I thought the oval might be a good idea tonight. Yeah, Colleen, it is just the way it goes that you miss the chats. Kind of have to go back and rewatch your own chats. I go back and re-listen because I'm like, I hope I didn't say anything too dumb. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've just kind of pinched it all together and then clipped it with those two clips. And then I'm going to switch over to my zigzag, and I'm going to make my stitch width as absolutely wide as it will let me make it, because you want your zigzag to catch both sides of this. I have brown in my bobbin and a lavender on top. I don't really care about the colors of this bowl, but if it aesthetically bothers you to see the outside, the bobbin thread against the outside of your bowl, then you may want to switch to a lighter colored bobbin thread for yours. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingers to pinch it together a little bit. And I'm going to sew my zigzag. I have to move the grabber tool because it's kind of getting in the way of my foot. That's not cool. And what I'm doing is I'm just starting the stitch. And I may have to walk it to get the feed dogs to pick it up. But I'm starting my zigzag and I'm trying to hold everything as close together as possible. Now, when I was a kid and they made these bowls, they did it, by whip stitching in and out with a needle and thread. My hands wouldn't do that now if I tried. So we're going to do it this way. And while I'm getting this started, I want to go over a couple of numbers because we had some big deals happen this week. Miss Sylvia I know everybody here follows her. Miss Sylvia hit 800 subscribers, and I am so proud of her and so happy for her. You guys don't even know. She has been working so hard for that, and I'm so happy for her. And she teaches FPP, and she's been doing a ton of applique. And of course, she's good at both. I have not got to where I understand FPP at all. So, I mean, I kind of have a general idea, but I'm definitely no expert at it. Even teaching it a couple of weeks ago on a live didn't help me. Okay, so now I have zigzagged that together, and I hope you can see that. Am I frozen? Seriously? I stopped myself. I touched my own screen. Okay, so here is the bottom side of what I'm stitching. And you can see my zigzag. I went down both ways, came back up. Yes. And then you want to make sure when you start building this, that when you build it, you're going to build to the left so that your big part of your bowl ends up on the outside, which means I'm going to have to flip this over. So my initial section is going to be brown in the very center. And then what I'm going to do is up here where I turned it, I'm going to start there and I'm going to fasten those two pieces together. And then I'm going to start sewing. And it is literally just a zigzag stitch. And you're going to do this all the way around. Work with me, machine, not against me. And somebody had asked me what size needle I use for this. I use a 90-14 needle. And it seems to do just fine. I'm using a Baby Lock Jazz. I have it set at 4 for the stitch length. And on here, there's a 7. That's the widest zigzag I get. So I'm using that 7. I do have to lift up my presser foot a little bit to turn corners. This will get easier. And then how do the scraps come in and play here? Okay, I'm not frozen. I have just whatever scraps I picked up. What are you doing? Quit playing with me, machine. I just picked up scraps out of my scrap bin, and I'm going to wrap them around my rope in various places. And I try to get it to cover as much distance on the rope as it will cover, but it takes a minute. And if they're really small scraps, they don't cover as far as you'd like. But we can put a lot of scraps in here. This can be as many colors as we like. And I just keep pushing everything together as I'm sewing. And you don't want to do great big long pieces of fabric because it's too hard to manage it. And I think that smaller pieces of scrap fabric look good. But I have seen people take and wrap part of a 2.5-inch strip around it and sew their bowl. And they get long strips of color on there. And I'm just continuing to stitch. Now, when you get down here to where the fabric comes back in, you want to try to keep it flat and just go ahead and stitch it in. Now, do you guys need me to move you closer to the machine so you can see this up close? I can do that. Or is it better to be able to see it a little further away so that you get a better overview of what I'm doing? I think everybody here is basically an experienced sewer, so you may not need all of that fussiness. All right, and I'm only doing this because I want you guys to see that it can work. This is a small scrap piece of knit fabric, and I'm just wrapping it around here. Joyce, that's hilarious. Hello, my quilty friend. I actually thought you said my guilty friends, and I was like, dang, what does she know about us? What did Colleen tell now? If you're guilty, raise your hand. I'm going to see a show of hands all the way across the board, I'm sure. And speaking of Colleen, my girl, she took a week off and she's still growing. Took a week off, got 5 subscribers. I'm like, you go, girl. So Colleen is at like 1,070 at this point, guys. I mean, she is just rocking and rolling. Yours autocorrects it to quality, and mine my brain autocorrected it to guilty. Maybe I have a conscience problem tonight. I'm going a little slower over the knit fabric than I did over the cotton, just because I want to make sure everything stays right where I want it. One nice thing about using the white is that it makes all of your fabrics look like they've got white in them because of the way the stitch looks. $10.78. You go, girl. Hello, Sherlock. Lower, lower. Oh, and I guess I need to give a shout out to tech support, whose channel I still haven't put in my Nightbot, Colleen, so be fair warned. Wayne is now at 617 subscribers. He got his first, I don't know, 500 subscribers off of a 13-second donkey video, okay? That donkey video got 250,000 views 7 years after he put it up. Yeah, we do all have Tracy in common. I hadn't thought about that, Colleen. Tracy's our good luck charm, huh? That may be true. That may be true. That's why I said it, because I knew that you were going to see if I had added it. And I have not, and I need to. Somebody send me a text, even while I'm still live, and remind me to add my husband to my Nightbot, please. He's been putting up some really cool AI art. Not really into the sewing thing, but he does some artificial intelligence, I think is what AI stands for. I'm never sure. Anyway, he's been doing some AI art, putting up pirate stuff and sea shanties and He put one up the other day with a blonde bombshell going, "Hey, big boy." The AI voice that he put on it was not real sexy, but it tried. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Lori is your stalker too. Yeah, we do all have Lori in common too. Quite a few of the same people, which is awesome. Colleen and Lori reminded me. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. I'm going to stop here for a second because everybody runs into this. I have a little section right there. You probably can't see that I'm going to slide my scissors through. See that didn't catch? It's easy to fix. You just back up there if you see it and just stitch over it. Give it a few stitches. Not going to hurt anything. It's a rope bowl. You're keeping it for yourself 9 times out of 10. And the extra stitching is only going to reinforce your bowl for whatever you're using it for. Tracy Albert's calling Lori a stalker and Colleen's is offering to fix it. Okay. And you can backstitch whenever you start sewing again. Now all of the rope bowl is up to your thought process. I know that I want mine to be 3 or 4 inches across, and then I want it to be about 10 inches long, maybe. Just big enough to put, we buy potatoes, 3 pounds at a time, or onions 2 or 3 pounds at a time. So I don't need a humongous bowl. I have a humongous rope bowl that I made. I wore it on my head. Did I freeze, Joyce? I hope not. It's a possibility. Joyce, I'm in Florida, and earlier before I came live, she's always silent. Earlier before I came live, we had a big thunder boomer with hail and lots of rain and lots of wind. I thought that it had all moved towards the coast, so I felt fairly secure about coming on, but we may still get some of it. Because for Florida, when the bands come across, they're going from the Gulf over to the ocean. Double checking my bobbin there. And we can still get lots of it even after it's done. All right, as long as you don't need her to, protect you. And then whenever I feel like it, I'm just randomly putting some fabric in here. I have seen people make rope bowls and make this into some big, crazy, complicated thing. And it really isn't. And another tip that you can use is I'm going to sew up here to where the fabric starts. So if you have problems holding that end of the fabric on there, sew up to it and then wrap your fabric around the rest of the way. I'm having a good hand day, but I don't always have good hand days. Arthur is definitely my constant companion. So you can use the needle to help you hold the fabric where and make sure that, it does what you want. Put a little green in here. So you sew up to it with the needle, like to where the end of it starts. There you go. See, like right there, I've started sewing into the fabric, and now the needle will hold it in place for me. And I just go ahead and bring it over and wrap it around. You can also, if you're really having a bad day, yeah, she lives right where that storm is heading for. You can also use a clip and clip your fabric in there. Or if you're the type of person who would rather wrap the fabric before you start sewing, which is legitimate and valid, then you could use those clips to go ahead and clip some fabric onto your rope. I'm not that person. That's not me. So I'm just picking out little pieces from my little scrap pile over there and putting it on, wrapping it around, and then just sewing over it. I mean, this is about as simple a sewing project as it gets, but I think these look so cute sitting in a kitchen or in a sewing room. You could use it in the bathroom to hold washcloths. You could use it on the table to hold bread or your salt and pepper shakers and butter. And this is 100% something that you should do to your taste. You know, some people like neons and bright colors, and some people like somber colors. I gotta move my little thingy over the way. Tracy, I'm impressed. Yes, I think both of you are really cool. One thing, if you're going to do this as a bowl instead of like as a big flat trivet, which you could go out as far as you wanted to on this. I've even seen people make rugs like this. So you could make a big flat trivet or a centerpiece for your table, anything you really wanted here. But if you're going to do a bowl, which I'm going to do, you don't want to start tilting your bowl or tilting it up to get your bowl until you've sewn down all of the fabric that you have around. So that you wanted a line of just white rope around the edge at the bottom. And that's only so you don't have fabric that sticks out. So now I'm coming around this curve. And I want to measure just because my visual isn't great. Oh, I'm impressicated. I got 4 inches exactly. So I have 4 inches in width here. And I'm coming around this curve. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to barely, see where my hand is over here at the side of the machine? I'm just going to barely lift up so that my rope starts tilting at the edge. And I'm going to keep that same angle as I sew around. And it's going to start giving me a raised edge on my bowl. They're really easy, Colleen, and I'm doing it with, you can't do this with a Juki. You have to have a machine that has a zigzag stitch to do this. So you're probably not ever really going to sew this with an industrial machine. You're going to be doing it with a domestic. I'm using all cotton rope for this one. This is literally clothesline. And you should be able to start seeing that angle coming up at the side. I can see it. I'm not sure how well it shows on camera. But over by my machine, it looks flat, but I can tell because I'm holding it up that it's not flat. And how high you lift this determines how high and how fast your side goes up. So if you want it to be a gentle curve, you want to hold it less shallow. And if you want it to go up quickly, then of course you want to hold it higher. And you can actually make these bowls go into a vertical without a big, huge problem. I'm unwinding more rope, hoping you can see that on screen. And now I'm going to put another little piece of fabric in here. That's probably too long and too wide. Am I frozen or is my phone just doing cruddy things? I hope it's just my phone and that I'm not frozen. Well, yeah, we pay way too much for it to happen too, but it does. And actually, what stinks is Wayne was on conference calls today, big important ones. And the internet went out on him. So he's like panicking, going, ah! And it went out during that storm, which, you know, we have satellite through Starlink, Elon Musk's mess. And there's nothing you can really do except just wait for it to come back on. So we try to make sure we keep it plugged in. Fortunately, today it came back on pretty quickly, but I don't understand how it can go out so much when it's supposedly satellite based. Satellites above the clouds, above everything. Okay, awesome, Sherlock. I appreciate that. My phone keeps freezing on the live, and I'm like, what are you doing? I think I'm getting close to my bobbin running out. Let's see. Did you all hear that clicky clicky? The Jazz is pretty finicky about bobbins. It does not like them when they get down close to the end. Ooh, I won bobbin chicken. Barely. They pull that little bit of thread off of it. It starts making noise early, so you definitely know that it's coming to an end. I didn't snip my thread whenever I made my bobbin. Let's just change the bobbin, and just in case you want to see it, Baby Lock Jazz has a drop-in bobbin. You catch your thread there, bring it around. It's like most other domestic sewing machines. And then for the Jazz, you have to catch the thread from the bobbin. It does not automatically pull the bobbin up. So, where did my tweezers go? Anywhere but here, right? I think it was Deborah was telling that she probably wanted a pair of those bent tweezers. They're in the little drawer. I should have just opened it and pulled them out. All right, so here's where we are on the basket. And before I go too much further, I'm going to check because I thought I felt a hole. I felt a hole right there. And I'm not going to be the one who sits here and sews along and says, oh, I never get holes in my bowls. Bull hockey. I get holes in my bowls all the time. So I'm going to stitch back over that real quick. Well, I've already got the thread out and cut. May as well, right? And you'll get used to seeing it really quick. And then, just break thread, go back, fix it. It's not a big deal. It's not like those people who say, oh, you shouldn't break thread when you're quilting or crossover. What? Bite my big toe. Okay, so it's starting to curve up. I'm going to continue to curve it up. Like I said, I know what I want this one to do. And I am going to back stitch a stitch or two right there. I know that I want this bowl to hold either onions or potatoes in the kitchen. That's why I picked the width I did, is because I know what size we normally do. I saw a short from somebody else that was making rope bowls. I don't know if she thought of it first or if I did, but I was trying to think of something that counted as an old-fashioned craft because I started that new podcast about Appalachian memories. And I wanted something that fit into what I was doing, but quilting or making another like quilt project didn't seem like the right way to go for a podcast because they're more audio than visual, right? Yeah. And I thought a rope bowl sounded perfect. For the next one, I'm doing some string piecing. I've already got that recorded and edited up. And I did pull out what I thought was a really funny story from that podcast. I turned it into a short. If you guys are interested, it's in my shorts feed. And I was like, oh, do I have enough to talk about to make a podcast? Well, I've got at least 10 in me that I can think of. So I thought, yeah. Lori, I know you meant rope, but I actually had a thought about making a robe before too long too. And not one of those kimono robes, but like one that actually has a pattern to it. Now, when you make these, you can add as much or as little fabric to this as you like. If you want to add fabric to the entire, knocked my ruler down, that was not good, to the entire thing, you can do that. And you can add any fabric in there you want. I have a little piece of fabric over here saved. When I get ready to do the edge or the final part of this, I'm going to put that piece of fabric on there. It says, keep calm and eat bacon. I thought it was cute. All right, and I'm going to put, what do I want down here? It's okay. You don't have to apologize. It was a Freudian slip, Lori. It actually got me thinking about another project that I want to work on. But I have I want to sit down and work with my scan and cut and get my Sunbonnet Sue pattern in there because I would like to use the scan and cut to cut out Sunbonnet Sue's for quilt. And Then I want to take that pattern and load it into Embrilliance and make Embrilliance embroider it for me so that I can just load it onto my flourish and embroider it. Lori, I am never, ever short on ideas. I may be completely incapable of coming up with how to execute it, but I am never short on ideas. And then I have to laugh because that makes me think about Colleen when she first said she was going to do that pig for her in-laws. I was like, yeah, okay, that's a pipe dream. She got that pig done in record time, folks. She was telling me, or us, her goal was May. And I'm telling you, that pig's been done for weeks. And Colleen has so much stuff done for that farmer's market that I don't think that her in-laws are going to have room in their booth for anything that she didn't make. So Colleen has got, she got mad skills for a newbie. She keeps calling herself a newbie, and I'm like, all right, I'll go along with you, but I don't see newbie over there. Not with the stuff she's come up with, guys. Did you ever do like a final video on that? She did do that pig quilt fast. I was like, holy moly. And every time you thought, oh, well, how's she going to do that? She came up with something I would have never thought of. You need not have been worried, Colleen. You did an excellent job on that. Now, does anybody have questions on anything to do with rope bowls? Because I know I had tons when I started. There you go. I'm working on editing the purse video. Yeah, those key fobs are professional, aren't they, Tracy? I am not a math person. Colleen has got it going on. Actually, for anybody who has arthritis or hand issues, this actually isn't too bad for me because I can use my 2 fingers and my flat hand. I'm not having to manhandle the bowl a whole lot with my right hand, which is the one that usually has issues. And now you can see why I'm keeping all the bulk of it over here on the left hand side. All right, and I'm getting down to the end of my rope, which is fine. And I'm not talking about like you do with your kids or when you just got to tie a knot and hang on. So as I'm starting into this curve, I back stitched right here, and I'm going to just barely push my little bit of rope up until I get a shape that I like. And I'm going to put a clip right here to hold this in place. Well, that didn't work very well, but I just moved it back up. I'm going to knot sew right here And I'm going to start sewing over here and go around. And at the other end, I'm going to do the same thing. And then when I come back up and around, trying to get that clip in there so it'll hold that rope in place. When I come back up and around, I'm going to sew the next piece of rope to this, but not to the bowl. I want a handle on here, and 2 makes a nice handle. Yes, literally end of my rope, Colleen, see? And I don't prefer keeping it on that little spool thing to do this. It just happens to be how it worked out. All right, so now I'm going to put this back in here, and I'm going to stitch, and I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to stitch forward again. And now I'm going to go down here to the other end, and I can take that clip off now if I want to. It's kind of a visual cue for me though. Stitching back and forth again. This handle isn't really going to be weight bearing, but I want the look of it in here. If I wanted a handle that was going to be weight bearing, I would need to do way more than 2 little rounds over it. I'm going to bring my clip down here. And that's just how easy it is to make it give you a handle in this. Oh, Colleen, thank you. I have taught a few people how to make rope bowls before, in real life, not on the internet. Come out of there. And then I said, I'm getting close to the end of my rope. If you have issues, like you run out of rope while you're doing this, it isn't really super hard to add more rope. You just, for me, I would actually probably take a piece of fabric and lay it over the 2 ends and then zigzag stitch back and forth over it. Or you could take your rope out separately, like you would do with binding on a quilt, and you could sew those together. So that your ends came together and were sewn together. Just depends on how you want to do it. And then I haven't said anything about this, but I'm keeping the rope as straight and flat as I can. I don't really want it twisting around and kinking out, because that just makes it harder to sew. And sometimes you actually have to tie a knot and just hang on. But I like doing it with a piece of fabric over that joint. And nobody's any the wiser that that's what you just had to do. Was join 2 pieces of rope together. I've seen ropes made into laundry baskets and into harvesting baskets. They don't really work well with handles on them for harvesting baskets. They're not really sturdy enough for that. And then now that I've got my little handle in there though, I'm just going to keep sewing around this edge. And if you want to put more fabric on here at this edge, you for sure can. I'm going to go ahead and put another little piece in here. And you don't have to wrap it around the rope either. That's the other thing I wanted to tell you. you can literally like wrap it around the rope long ways, like bring it around it like this. And just sew it in that way too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be wrapped around the rope on a bias or anything like that. I like wrapping it around the other way better, but I will show you how to do that. And I know I brought it out here ways. For this way, I for sure need to have the needle grab the front part of it. And once the needle has grabbed a hold of it, then I can wrap the fabric around the rope. I don't know if you can see that very well. I'll bring it up and show it to you. But remember, you don't want to put fabric on the last round. So if you're going to put fabric on this round, just know that you're going to go ahead and do one more round all the way around so that you can make sure that fabric is in on both ends or both sides. And this basket is really fancier than I need it, but it's okay. Because you may decide you want yours fancy some specific way. You'll be up at 3 a.m. again with ideas. And basket linings are super easy for these. Basket linings are super easy for almost anything, in my opinion, because you'd be great at it, Colleen, because it's a math issue. You just math it out, and there you are. And for you, that's easy. It's not so easy for me these days. I'm putting another piece on the same way I just did that one. For me, it's harder to keep that wrapped around the way I want it. And that's why I always go an extra round if I put it in there. Almost there, guys. And these are quick. I mean, if you wanted smaller bowls, especially once you get the hang of this, because it's not hard. If you wanted smaller bowls, you could do them in 15 or 20 minutes if you weren't talking and trying to keep up with chat or anything like that. Yeah, the fabrics do make the bowls unique. And truthfully, I've got a couple that are older, but sometimes when I see them, pull them out for some reason, I look at the fabric and it's just like an old scrappy. That fabric makes me think about something that I made years ago that I may have forgotten about. I've got a bowl that's got pieces from a baby quilt that I made for my friend's 10-year-old granddaughter when she was a baby. And every time I see that one bowl that's got the fabric scraps from Marina's quilt, I think about Marina, which gives me a chance to, say good things about her and think good thoughts and go, oh, gee, wonder how she's doing. And her mommy and stuff. I mean, I still follow them on Facebook and everything. So that's kind of cool. Now to end a bowl, And I'm going to do that right here at this little handle. You can just sew it down so that, you know, it's zigzag down. I like to do a little piece of fabric there. And I'm looking for a little piece of fabric. I'll do green. And I just wrap it around. And on this one, I'm not going to worry about taking it down to, you know, another level or anything like that because I'm ending right here. Yeah, you could, or you could clip them on with your clips, or you could put them in with pins, whatever you wanted to do, whatever works for your way of thinking. And you could also just sew this down and then put a piece of fabric over the edge. Just zigzag a piece of fabric over it if you wanted. And this is not as complicated as doing like those little zipper tabs. I did try the way you do zipper tabs on the persons. I do my placket completely different than you do though. So it didn't really, it got beat up. And then I'm just going to back stitch over that little piece of fabric I put right there at the end. This out. Now, my handle here kind of grew a little further than I wanted it to. And over here, it went to the wrong spot. But I can, if I want to change that, I can go here and clip the threads and then just sew over here so that it goes right where I want it. But that bowl for me is a good size, and I'll just set it like up underneath that shelf where I want it to hold my stuff. And if I want to make my handles match, I can do that without any big issues. So not something that's going to make me sweat in any way, shape, or form. And let me just show you how I'm going to do that real quick. See my little surgical snips? They're great, right? I'm just going to put this in there, and where that handle wandered a little too far to suit me, I'm just going to stitch there. This is a really forgiving craft. Find a hole in the bowl that you didn't intend to leave there, sew over it. Big glue sticks have you gone through lately, Coley? I have a lifetime supply. All right. Let me change cameras. This one has just like wandered itself all the way around the world here. Okay, so here is my bowl up close. You can see I've got a couple places where it's not stitched super tightly together. This is the outside of it. And if I want to mold it with my fingers, I can, so that it stands up a little straighter. Guess I should do that where you guys could see it, right? Hello, Lucy. How are you tonight? So that's kind of how it goes. We've got some fabric in different places. I've got a handle over here. I need to sew up my handle a little bit more in that spot, but I fixed it there. And I could actually, I mean, the reason I put a handle on it is because then you can hang it on a hook and you don't have to worry about, you know, it tearing the stitches or anything. But I like that it's got a little bit of diversity in the fabrics. Thank you, Lucy. I like it. I like how it came out. And I have this, says keep calm and eat bacon. I could sew it down into my bowl. I could lay it over an edge and sew it on. I could heat and bond it on there for all that matters. But it's just a nice little, you do whatever you want to your bowl. That was the whole point behind that, is you can put anything on there. Well, yeah, Pauline, and if you make it, I would love to see pictures of it. But these are so simple and so easy, and you can turn them. You guys have seen me do it. I made a rope bowl last summer, and I wore it on my head. And this one, you know, I don't know. That doesn't really look like a hat, really. Need to be bigger for that. But do whatever you want with it. This one's going to be great in my kitchen. And this spool of thread, and I'd already used some of it for something else, more of my scraps jumping up there. I think cost me $5 at Walmart. I'm going to take the rest off because I don't need this little spool thingy. And I'll roll the rope up so I can use it for something else. And that's the other thing, is you can join the rope together without a problem. But this cost $4 or $5 at Walmart. I've gotten at least 2 or 3 small bowls, maybe one big bowl out of that size. So if you look, if you look at it, Colleen, Walmart sells this, but you want cotton. You don't want polyester, you want cotton rope. You may have to get a mix. I think you want the majority of it to be cotton. And this is clothesline. I mean, it's not that plastic stuff. This is all cotton rope. I know on Amazon they have some that's like red and black with white woven into it. I think that's all polyester, but there may be colors of rope you can get, or you can apply fabric to it, or you could dye it. I mean, if you wanted to make your bowl and then like set it down in the end and let it absorb dye so it ended up an ombre color, that would be really cute. And look, another use for a bowl. My issue, as you guys have probably figured out by now, is that I don't throw away anything scrap wise. It's fabric. I must keep it. Somebody asked me, how big of pieces do you keep? Oh, here you go. Another bowl full of scraps. So I could do that even and just keep it in the sewing room. I don't have to take it to the kitchen, but that's what I intended it for, is for the kitchen. And I have a spot in there that I want it. It probably is next to ironing boards, or it's next to clothespins, one or the other. Still picking up scraps and scraps. And then I've got to pick up all of my clips that I pulled out to use for this, because I was expecting to need more of them than I did. But this one's easy to do. You can use it for anything. You can use it for trivets. You can use it for holding produce. You can use it in your craft room. You could put it in a baby's room. If you were making for a specific sex, you could add pink or blue to it. I mean, it's really great. I want to see pictures, Sherlock. If you aren't friends with me, aren't text friends with me, I do have a Facebook page, and it comes up on my Nightbot every few seconds or every few minutes. I do have a Facebook page, Practically Creative with Melissa, and you're welcome to share pictures in there. I would love to see them. What else is going on? Colleen, 1078, she said. So almost to 1080, so almost to 1100, Colleen. Sylvia just hit 803. Yay, Sylvia. I'm still growing quickly. Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. And there are more projects coming. I just started a new podcast. I wanted to share some of the memories I have of growing up in Kentucky and West Virginia. I think some of them are funny, some of them maybe not so funny. Y'all need to go hear what happened when they arrested my mama for assault in 1975. I think that's the funniest story ever about my mom. And I hope that you'll listen or watch. And if you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments or on my page on Facebook. I think we've got all of the links in. Is that right? Ah, clothesline at Walmart. See, she put it up there. And she's putting in the links for everybody to make sure that all of my moderators are being recognized. I appreciate you guys. All my mods are great. They volunteer their time. Nobody gets paid to do this. It's strictly a labor of love or like something. Or you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Because some of my mods that have channels, I'm a mod for them as well. So it works out well. And it's nice when you know the other person so that you know what they will take, what they'll take in stride in their chat and what they won't. And they recognize the people that are normally there, which is good. Oh, thank you, Lori. That's right. Get your money's worth. If you go to jail for assault, get your money's worth. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Sylvia says, be nice to others because you're nice. Colleen says, be the light. And I've been putting up that Molotov cocktail because I saw one that I thought it's funny. Yeah, Tracy, you're not getting paid, just in love and affection. I'm sorry, honey. And I say if somebody's criticized, to go home. Ain't nobody got time for that. Y'all have a great night and thank you for watching. Bye, guys. And then let me see if I can figure out how to kill the zoom. Zoomy, 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 zoomy.